So welcome to Boxing Media Hub. Yes, Boxing Media Hub once again. And it's myself with the boys. I've got the EFB man, Ender, and Jam as well. They're all here. And yeah, we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to do a fight card review from Saturday. What a cracker it was, to be honest. The main ones we'll kind of look at, I suppose, is Jonas versus Maya, quite a bit of a talking point on that one. Cullen versus Chelli, the war, well, from one side anyway, and McKenna versus Ellison, which actually came out a lot. Ellison really sort of went for it, but we'll get into that.
Well, Ellison was a last-minute replacement, and that's always tricky, as our good friend Anthony Joshua found out when
against Ruiz.
That's the one against Ruiz. Ruiz's last-minute opponent. He upset the apple cart that day.
Exactly. He was already in for a fight in Sweden, weren't he? He was training for a fight in Sweden, so he was already ready. He was ready to go.
Well, it sounds like we're already going in for McKenna versus Ellison here. So, Ender, you were there.
I was there. Well, I was there for some of it. Now, first of all, I'll preface today because I just think it'd be remiss of me not to mention that I was at Arsenal's 5-0 win over Crystal Palace. So
that was a beautiful win. Martinelli again with them 2 goals. Fantastic.
Yeah, but Martinelli scored after I'd left, but that's fine. I'm cool with that because I left after 90 minutes. There was 7 minutes of injury time or added on time. So I said that'll give me a head start to get to Houston, so I could get the train to Liverpool via Manchester. Anyway, that's enough of that. We'll go
back to the boxing.
That's my line. Anyway, so Gabriel's got 4 goals on a one.
I know you wanted to mention the young lad, Steve Clark. Now,
just before we get on to talking about the fights that we've mentioned, I just want to mention he was on higher up the card because this guy sold 1,000 tickets for his debut fight. He's an ABA champion, and he's every bit the ABA champion because he was calm and controlled, and that arena was rocking, and it was rocking for him. And he came out, and it was all the lights and all the pizzazz and all the shiny baubles, fireworks, everything was going, but he remained cool, calm, and collected. And he boxed so well. I was so impressed how he took his time and he boxed his combinations very well. He didn't go in, he didn't rush anything, he didn't rush his food, he didn't, I want to get 1 round knockout. He knew well and he stuck to his guns, and I was very impressed. And I hope, Steve, if he's watching, I hope you come on the channel for an interview because I'm definitely going to be following your career very much because you're definitely one to watch, and especially
he looked like an old pro, didn't he? He looked like he.
Now, not to contradict what you said, Jan, but to me, he looked like a very experienced amateur, which he was. He was an ABA champion, so he wasn't this guy that just turned pro and was rushing at it. This was a guy that obviously said, "I'm not going to probably make the Olympic panel. I'm going to go pro instead," and that's perfectly fine. But he kept his amateur boxing pedigree in terms of his clean punching and his targets and just scoring those shots. And as well as that, like people don't realize, like, the first fight isn't about, he needs a bigger opposition. Someone said, no, not everyone's Vasyl Lomachenko. You can't go into your first fight, fighting for a world title. Your first fight is to get you used to pro boxing. And it's there. It's all about the occasion and the lights and not being overawed by it all, which many were. And he wasn't. So
many men fought for that first hurdle. Many men
were saying, he should have had a better opposition. I thought the guy he fought was perfectly well. And I know why the guy decided to quit or to get disqualified instead of being knocked out, because it means he won't be suspended.
He can fight the next month. Yeah, exactly.
He can fight sooner. So anyone on Twitter that was going on about that, you don't know boxing. Know your stuff. Like when you come in for, saying, his opponent wasn't good enough. Know what it is. It's a debut fight for this guy. I thought he did everything well. I thought his opponent was very game.
Yeah, he had to go at first, didn't he?
He stayed with for the full 6 rounds, but you could tell in round 6 his time was coming. And in round 7 he decided he was going to get disqualified instead of getting knocked out and suffering that long battle. And
what did you think of Mikey Towell?
Sorry?
What did you think of young Mikey? You know, young Mikey who fought on the card, who had the 4-round win. What did you think of him?
Well, I didn't see his fight. That's why I didn't
It was
mention
one of the earlier ones, weren't it?
Yes.
It was like really
the
early in
first
the
fight
night.
I saw was Aaron McKenna's. So it was
Yeah.
Aaron McKenna to Zach Chelli was the fights I saw in the stadium. Everything else I didn't
I know
see.
you were there. I've seen some of your posts, so I knew you were
Yeah,
there.
but you didn't pay attention to the one I saw. I arrived for Aaron McKenna's.
Oh, you only arrived for that.
Of course, I didn't fucking see. They didn't have them on the train.
Anyway,
fair enough.
Big shout out to everyone that was on the card. We're going in for McKenna versus Ellison. Now,
Ellison. Good late opponent. That is.
Jam, what did you make of? Yeah, what did you make of Ellison?
Ellison came to bring it, didn't he? You know, he had a go. He banged himself out. He was gassed out within a round or two, but he brought it to him and he had a go against McKenna. He was always going to lose, let's be honest. McKenna's just next level, and he had a go. He blew his gasket, he shot his load, and he was spent, and it was done. And that's the end of the fight.
Are you sure you're not John Fury? Because you're sounding very like him now.
I'd be hard and I'll have some money, you know what I mean? I wish I was, Ender, honestly.
But honestly,
I do like a dog. Go on, say it. You know you want to.
I think to be fair, though, Jam's right in the respect that Ellison came out. He gave it all. He threw the kitchen sink in the first 2 rounds. And to be fair, by the end of the second round, you knew where it was going because
he was breathing hard. He really did.
And McKenna couldn't find that rhythm in those first 2 rounds. But once he found it, and I'd say in round 3, he just went into autopilot. He picked his shots. I thought his movement was great. So to be fair, that's where it was at with that one. Ender, did you enjoy it?
I very much enjoyed it. Now I'm just pulling up.
Just quickly, Chris. Ellison was actually good last-minute opponent. Came to bring it, but he was recklessness. Probably tired him out in the end. McKenna pounced on it, and I think that's the important thing is that with the experience, and I think he is experienced, Aaron McKenna, that he picked that at the right time. He knew.
What is he? 18 and 0? 18 and 0. Is it McKenna?
Yeah. Like I would have loved to seen the Linus Udofia fight. And
I was so looking forward to it. I would have loved that fight. I would have loved
and I've said that now, and of course Chris has read my notes again. And
it was a boxing move performance. McKenna versus Udofia will be remade, I suspect. To be fair, I hope so.
That could be a cool main event, it really could. But I'm just looking at his he apart from stopping David Benitez, his last few fights were all won on points. So it was good for Aaron. Now Stevie's the heavier puncher, and Stevie's kind of a grade up, I would say. But Aaron's a very good boxer, but he just needs that lethal finishing. And he found it on Saturday. And that's what I was most impressed with about Aaron. It was that finish, and he went for the kill and he got it. So that's good to see that.
Major confidence boost.
And that could be really good. And I know he was calling out, all and sundry.
Chris Eubank Jr. in it, yeah.
But that's just nonsense for the cameras. I'd love to see him versus Linus Udofia. I think that would be a cracking fight, probably in London, on a boxer card. And let's face it, boxer don't have the best of cards. So the McKennas from Hennessy Boxing, who were brilliant, and I love Hennessy Boxing. They're probably one of my favorite British stable, to be quite honest.
They do mainly Channel 5 fights at the minute, aren't they, Hennessy?
Well, DAZN seem to have a few of their fights, and so they're not contracted to anyone.
They were known. They were kind of known as the Channel 5 guys.
They were known as the. They did have a contract with Channel 5, but Channel 5 seems to have a contract with who's the guy that fights DAZN? What's his name?
Was it Wasserman?
Wasserman, yes.
Yeah,
so they've got their Wasserman B fights on Channel 5. So I preferred the Hennessy fights. And which reminds me.
Yeah.
Exactly, Chris. Because if I was betting on that fight and I didn't, I would have bet on a points win for McKenna. But yeah, it's great to get that finish, and it really, really spices up the Udofia fight. And I think that would be a really good co-main event.
Yeah.
You know, for
Oh,
for a Sky Sports what's his name boxer card. So yeah, no, very impressed with Aaron McKenna, and good friends of the channel. And you know, I mean, I've always been banging their drum. Joel was always saying it as well. I was always saying, you've got to watch out for these McKenna boys. So yeah, I mean, that was, I think, you know, apart from obviously Steve Clark's debut, I think performance tonight went to Aaron McKenna.
I actually called the knockout as well. I said McKenna will stop him. I actually called it beforehand.
Wow. He's in the team now. That's it. It doesn't last long, Jam. You'll start getting everything wrong. You'll find that out.
Yeah, you won't get everything wrong.
I can imagine, mate.
It's just me.
You'll never get everything wrong if you get off the fence.
Cullen.
As long as you get off the fence, you'll have one way or t'other.
Cullen versus Chelli. Now, this one before the fight was kind of, this was looked at as fight of the night on paper.
This was going to be the war.
Cullen coming off the back of, you know, the win against Mark Heffron that no one expected, to be perfectly honest. Because Cullen's performances before that Heffron fight weren't very good at all, to be perfectly honest. Zach Chelli, a lot more power, quick, a very adrenaline-fueled sort of fighter, but a great watch. Always a great watch, Zach.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was a great fight. But for me, I'm going to go first this time. I know it's unheard of. Cullen just didn't show up, in my opinion. But I think as well, Zach Chelli's performance made it very difficult for him to do what he wanted to do. If he went into trade, Chelli was ready to trade. He was quicker to the punch. You know, Cullen didn't use his range, his height advantage. He didn't use any of those advantages. So Zach was there to pick him apart, and I thought he did a fantastic job. And you know what? I am so made up for him to become British and Commonwealth, because he's been so destined to get those belts for so long. And I think,
let's be honest,
Cullen will be kicking himself. He did not take the chance of putting, you know, getting into it at all. And I just thought Chelli was fab. Like Chris is saying, before the fight, I saw Chelli 5th round, new trainer, fire in the belly. He will exploit Cullen vulnerabilities. You did say that. I remember that. You've copied and pasted this, which he did. He exchanged, unlike Heffron, dominant performance from Chelli. Looked really good. Endo, from what you saw of it, what did you think?
Well, I saw, I left prior to the final round of this, so I saw 90% of it, but I knew what was going to happen. I said, Chelli's not going to stop him, but he's winning a wide points margin. I was very impressed with Chelli, obviously less so with Heffron, Cullen, because I saw Chelli do to Cullen what Cullen did to Heffron. The champion didn't have their eye on the ball, you know. They thought this was going to be not a walk in the park, but you know what I mean. They didn't take the fight seriously enough. And whether it's just, you know, and defending a title is always harder than winning it. Everybody will tell you that. Any boxer, ask them. It's easier to win a title than it is to defend it. And the British title, you know, the British title is our favorite title, because there's no bullshit. It's usually two young boxers coming up, and one of them is going to go on and one of them is going to have to regroup. And it's always a competitive, and it's always a 50-50 fight. But from bang, bang, from ding, ding, round one, I could see Chelli he was the man that wanted it more. He was the man that, you know, had a bit between his teeth, and he wanted it. So I was scoring rounds for Chelli, you know, it was easy for me as now I know as an amateur judge, but I can still judge pro boxing as well, you know, giving my opinion of it. I mean, Chelli was just chalking up those rounds, and Cullen, like Chris said, Cullen was very disappointing. You know, Cullen didn't bring it. I mean, it's not Chelli's fault that Cullen didn't bring it. You know, he can't make a fight of it if he's only one man. You know, and Cullen didn't bring anything back. So that's why this wasn't fight of the night. And Chelli doesn't get performance of the night either, because I do believe it did belong to young McKenna. But no, Chelli now, I'd like to see where Chelli goes on from here. He's got the British title. I'd like to see who his first defence will be. Callum Simpson versus Zach Chelli.
That would be a cracker.
There you go. There's a fucking cracker for you. And there you go. There's your main event for Udofia.
Yeah, 100%. British and Commonwealth on the line. I think that'd be
have it in York Hall. You know, don't be going to no Copper Box. Don't be going to no Wembley Stadium, which can't fill. Go to the York Hall. Have it in that nice, tight-packed boxing mecca. Yeah. And let's get good level fights, because I mean that's two very 50-50 fights. If we had both of those as the main and co-main, I would be doing Rio Ferdinand, put that country on the table, I'm gonna sign it, fly over, right there, Ross night, first flight out, bing bang bosh.
Bing bang bosh.
Bish bash bosh.
Love that. Love that.
There you go. So I'm calling out what's his name? Ben Shalom. I said, Shalom to you, Ben. But you need to make that night. I will write the fucking card for you. You go get the fighters. It's that simple.
I think that'd be an easy card to make. Easy card.
Matchmaker, make me.
Let's be honest though. Those fights have already made themselves. They've already lined themselves up.
They're waiting, aren't they? They're ready and waiting.
100%. 100%.
Chris is reading my notes. When I said it before,
McKenna versus Udofia, 2 fights already. There we go.
Exactly.
And you could put Steve Clark on the undercard as well.
Steve's coming from Liverpool, but I bet he would, and I bet he'd bring down that 1,000 with him.
Yeah,
you know?
It'd fill York Hall.
And it would be good for him to box outside of Liverpool, you know?
It'd fill York Hall, wouldn't he? Let's be honest.
Oh, Jesus. Well, he'd fill York Hall, but I hope they'd stay. Well, they would stay for those 2 fights if they're boxing fans at all. Jesus 100%. Christ. We'd all be there for that.
Here we go then. This is the one we're probably most going to have a chat about. Jonas versus Mayer. Now, Jam.
I had it 8-2 to Mayer. Honest to God, I had 8-2 rounds to Mayer. 98-92 Mayer. That's what I had it.
I had it.
I stand by it. I watched it back twice, and I stand by it.
I had it 7-3 at most.
And I didn't see it live because I was wrecked from all my traveling. But I watched it back. 7-3 is correct.
I think it was sitting at that. Yeah,
I think it's awful. And this is twice Mayor's been robbed in the UK. You know,
it's such a shame though, because it ruins the game for everybody else.
Does. Like, I don't want
the thing that got me was the interview at the end, right? Because they interviewed Natasha Jonas and they put the microphone under her.
I've been through this before.
Yeah, exactly that, Jan. She said, I've been through this before. I know how she feels. Now, with those words, what do you mean? That means you've been screwed.
I do believe Natasha is an honest girl, and I love Natasha Jonas. She's brilliant. But that's why Natasha has literally conceded. I got the results, but I don't deserve it, because Natasha has been on the receiving end of that. You know, some people think she beat Katie Taylor. I don't. Now, that might be Irish bias. I hope it isn't. But I
think it was more the Terry Harper.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, sorry. Terry Harper, she was absolutely robbed and blind off that.
They gave a draw, didn't they? Yeah, they gave a draw, and it was...
When they score a draw...
Legacy, she needs to fight Mayer and Harper this year.
I think
both of them.
And she will beat both of them.
Yeah, she needs to beat both. She needs to. She needs to beat Mayer and Harper.
She beat Harper. She won't beat Mayer.
I don't think she'll beat Mayer.
Mayer will win. I backed Mayer before, and I said Mayer would win a wide points decision. On my card, she won a wide fucking points decision.
So Chris, 7-3 Mayer for me. I always have commentary off. My eyes don't lie. Jonas had bruises. Mayer, not even a mark on her face. I said Mayer would dominate, but get robbed for a second time of her career.
We all said that, Chris.
Brown envelopes, everyone.
I hope Joel turned on, because Joel was giving great comms on the fight.
Oh, Chris was there. He was giving me a nightmare all night.
I was too.
Jam was there as well.
Yeah,
Well,
I
there was
Please, how did you put up with it?
I ruined.
Jam.
No.
There's no coverage in the morning. Don't tune in. Please don't tune in, Jam.
I'm always pounding the messages, mate. I'm always keeping you lads busy.
we appreciate it.
My
We
favourite show on
appreciate it.
Tinterweb, mate.
Well, tomorrow morning you'll be put on the naughty step until I'm finished with the fight. Then you
I
can
love
comment
you,
all
lad.
you want.
I'm always
But I
giving
am not
you
Joel. I cannot do two things at once. So please save the comments for the
till
end.
end of the fight round. Yeah, I remember you saying that actually,
But
and I still
let's
forgot.
let's be honest. So here, right? Jonas.
I just have to get a drink. I'll be back in 1 second.
That's all right. Jonas next. Jam. I think Jonas needs to fight Harper.
Yeah, she either needs to fight Harper in the rematch or the Michaela Mayer run it back. I think if she doesn't, she's letting her legacy down. She'll look like a coward. I just, because of the animosity of this, and everybody knows she lost that fight. If she does not get back in the ring with Mayer, it will be a tarnish on her legacy forever. I genuinely believe that. I love Tasha Jonas. I am her biggest fan. And I'd be happy for her to retire now and I will love her forever. But if she does not get back in with Mayer, that will always be the one where you'll say she definitely lost.
Got away with it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you've just mugged one there because you was at home, and that ain't right.
But to be fair to her, it's the judges, isn't it?
Yeah, she didn't pick it. She did not pick it. And look, the rematch clause was only one way.
Yeah,
if Mayer won, Jonas had a rematch.
Yeah,
I just a little bit classier Jonas now. If she turns around and says, right, you were willing to give me a rematch if I lost, I'll do the same for you. I just think that's what a champion would do. And if Jonas don't, I will lose a little bit of respect for her. I don't know if that's me, but I just think she should run it back. She lost. She knows she lost. She should run it back.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Jam, to be honest. I'd see the rematch, but I can only see one outcome. I think Mayer would beat her again, in my opinion. Let's have the rematch in America, but no Shalom knows Jonas would get dominated and scores will go to Mayer. Jonas retiring at the end of the year. No wonder she said that. Age showed and she got dominated. Mayer should be unbeaten.
Sure, that is correct. Fair dues to Mayer. I was going to say fair fucks to her, but I can't say fucks because this is a channel. So I won't say fucks anymore.
but
dues to Mayer for coming over. And Russ is in the house. Russ is in the house.
So Mayer has got the balls, mate. Mayer knows what she's doing. She's nobody's mother.
Well, Mayer has got the vagina. You know.
There we go.
She's got the steel fucking magnolias. Her vagina is tight, and she's well able for these other women. And she'll come over here, and she'll lose, but she'll win the decision. This reminds me of my biggest fucking
boys. I have to shoot because I've got to go.
So does that mean I take over?
So you take over. This is dangerous. Right.
I know.
I am going to leave you two to it. Boys, thank you very much. I'll leave it to you two to end it with Jonas versus Mayer.
Please enter your credit card details if you want to continue viewing.
Please, mate. That's a different show. We'll see you soon.
They're paying me money to put it back on. Anyway, thank you, Joel.
See you in a bit. See you later, boys.
See you, Joel.
You take care, Joel.
Right. Back to Mayer, and I was on my little soapbox there. Mayer has had the vaginas to come over and fight in Britain, knowing she wasn't going to get a decision twice, but everyone in their heart of hearts knows she won that fight. It reminds me a lot of Canelo Triple G 1, where Gennady Golovkin won that fight. Everybody knew he won that fight, except some silly bird decided that she was going to fly away with all of Golden Boy Promotions money, who were then the promoter of the Cabutinol induced Canelo, and they absolutely robbed Triple G. Now, I was at the third fight and Canelo won that, and that's fair enough, but Canelo wouldn't fight Triple G in his prime, and I have a big issue with that. I mean, people talk about robberies, about the fight up in Scotland. That wasn't a robbery for me. What was a robbery was Triple G, Canelo won. Now, back to this.
Yeah.
Michaela Mayer should have 2-0 in the UK, and she's 0-2. And that's a disgrace. as you know, as we representing UK and Ireland boxing, you know, domestic as we call it, you know, I don't like that. And for Boxing News to print this bullshit, that was like, oh well, you know, Jonas gets the decision. You know, Jonas wins in Liverpool. No, she got the decision, and that would be a more accurate statement. But she didn't win. There's not a person in the world that would have. Well, maybe what's his face?
Joe Gallagher.
No, well, Joe is her trainer, but what's his name? Everton boy, the fella from Everton. He was on Love Island.
Bellew.
Yeah, Tony Bellew is probably the only other person apart from her trainer that
The
would give.
bomber, more like the bell end at the minute. The way he's talking.
Yeah. Now I'm just going to go in.
I know you, but Mike.
Just one sec.
By 4 rounds.
Shush.
Go on.
Michaela always been my favorite female boxer. Yeah, I like Michaela as well. Joel needs to lend Ben Shalom money to pay off Eddie Hearn. Where the fuck's Joel going to get the money?
Maybe if he wins his charity match, he can keep the money and give it to Ben Shalom already.
I think you'll find, as it's a charity match, he cannot be.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. I love Jonas as UK fan, but he got dominated. Yeah. And just please, while I'm reading this out, just hold your wish. We see that a robbery. Ryder will get robbed by Munguia. I disagree. I think Munguia is going to knock out Ryder. So there you go. Yeah, Tony Bellew. Nick Peel, another Scouser. What's that got to do with the price? Was Nick Peel fighting on the card?
No.
So what's that comment about? I don't know. Jonas might have squeezed out a draw at best. You might as well give her a win as a draw because neither of them are accurate and neither of them are correct. Yeah. So, but it just puts a bad taste in my mouth. And for Boxing News, Ellis Wurzel or whatever his name is, Ellis, for him to write that article in good faith, he's lost me. Well, I never particularly liked Elliot Wurzel's articles anyway. He just seemed to get on his high horse about guys that go to shows and cover it on YouTube and on their, you know, social media. And I'm a real fucking journalist. You're not. That's all right, pet. You keep paying money and people buy your Boxing News, but they ain't buying it for your articles. There you go. Jonas might have squeezed it. Oh yeah, I've read that. Right, so we're going to finish up now, I think, on that. Have we any? Was there anything else we to say about the weekend? No, that was it. Have you any final comments?
Unless you're on about Mikey Talon, he was really good.
Yeah, well, you tell me about Mikey Talon. You saw him, I didn't.
Oh, of course, you said yeah. Well, he came out, he'd done a 4-rounder. He was fantastic. He looks a real good young prospect. I think it was his 4th fight, I believe. And he looked really good. You know what I mean? It was his first time on TV. Well, on the YouTube channel of Sky Sports. He looked a decent prospect. He looks a real good talent for the future.
Well, that's brilliant, Jam, because that means I know it's on YouTube and I'm going to go back and watch Nick Peel. Now, Chris has come back to explain Nick Peel, and it makes a lot of sense why I wouldn't know him, because he said the word talk shite. I don't listen to that channel. It's a crock of shit. I would rather put razor blades in my eyes than ever listen to Talk Sport. It's dreadful. It's absolutely the worst. If you listen to Talk Sport, then goodbye. I'm not a Talk Sport fan at all. They're dreadful. Yeah, like the scorecard in favor of Mayer was outrageous. Outrageously accurate is the only fucking thing I'd say about that. And then we're going to go back to Adam. Christian Mbelli, the guy that deserves a big name fight. I agree with you there. Mbelli definitely deserves a big name fight. Good to see Jack Massey back, by the way, who took Joseph Parker the distance last year. Yes, he did. But the thing about Joe Parker is Joe Parker raises his game like he did against Wilder, and it was Andy Lee's excellent tutelage that got him that win. It's going to be interesting in Riyadh, but he's the co-main, so who knows what will happen. But yeah, I think that's it though for the review of the weekend's boxing. I don't think there was anything else. Is there any other fights that you want to mention or anything, Jam?
The only one I'd say, you've just mentioned it, was Jack Massey. I was so pleased with him Jack won smack Massey. It was so good to see the knockout there. But other than that, mate, no, I think that's about it.
Again, this was before Jack Massey was obviously. That's dead air. Anyway, yeah, Makassi Lawal. I like that too, Chris. Sorry. Yeah, that will be very good. Anyway, that's it for us. I'm going to just put up a few banners now. Oh no, that was up. So where is this? Here we go. So we're going to just have a little bit of this. Have it.
See you, Ender.
So that's it. Thank you and goodbye. Slán go fóill.
See you later, Ender, mate. You take care.